Okay, wonderful. So I'm really thrilled to be here today with Bruce, and Bruce has been a dear friend of mine for probably more than 20 years. And I wanted Bruce to talk really to all the men out there, but also to the women who love men and to the sons and daughters who love their fathers. So Bruce, over to you. I'm going to just tee this up a little bit by saying that you were approaching your early 60s, looking great, feeling great, loved by your family, looking forward with some trepidation, but forward toward retirement and a new life with lots of love and hiking the wilds. And then what? What happened?
Well, thanks, Ann. It's nice to see you.
You too.
So I was like virtually everybody out there. I was managing a number of life transitions. So I'd moved country. I'd moved from Japan back to the United States. Um, I was on a retirement path. So I had a job that I absolutely loved, and that job was coming to an end. Um, I was going through a divorce scenario. So just lots of changes were happening in my life. And then all of a sudden, I go in for a routine physical,
Yep.
do a blood test, and I have an elevated PSA, prostate specific antigen. Something's measured in your blood. It's an indicator that there might be something going on with your prostate. So the doctor said, let's do a biopsy and just see if you've got prostate cancer. And I'm like, okay, well, look, I'm a healthy guy, right? I've always been healthy.
Not possible. It doesn't fit into my schedule.
Play basketball until I was 57, for crying out loud. And
yeah,
it's just, I said, okay, fine. You want to do a biopsy? Knock yourself out. Here we go. And the biopsy comes back, and there are definitely cancer cells. And I have a Gleason score of 3-4. And the Gleason score, again, is an indication that clearly you can see cancer cells. And there was no question, I did have prostate cancer.
yeah. Okay, so a myriad of feelings come up when we get that news. First, I want to make a key point that for many men going through this, it's exactly what you described. They're coming through to a major life change. They're kind of looking forward to it, maybe with nerves as well. They go in for their routine scan. I think sometimes we do it because it's one of the last ones that our company pays for or whatever, and wham. So how did you feel emotionally? How did you feel?
Well, you get a whole bunch of emotions, partly because of all the other things that are going on in your life. But one of which is just denial. It's like, no, not me, not right now. I don't have the time to have to do. So, I'm all of a sudden I'm like questioning the Gleason score. I'm questioning the PSA. It's just, no, this can't be happening.
Yeah, and for those of you out there who don't know how smart Bruce is, suddenly he became seriously like a PhD on Gleason and on PSA. You're absolutely right. So one of the things that you did was to charge in to get as much information about something that was frightening, which is what many do.
So you're going to go through a little bit of denial, and the reality is you can't deny it. This is happening, and so you're going to have to deal with it. Sort of the next things you go through are, okay, all right, if I have to deal with this, I'm going to man up and I'll just deal with this. And that's actually not a particularly helpful way to approach this problem. You have to understand there are millions of men that have this problem.
So you're not alone.
Yeah, you are not alone. And don't man up and do this on your own, right? You need a support group. And in retrospect, the most important thing that I fortunately learned early on from you, Ann, is you have time. Just slow down a minute. Deal with the denial. Deal with the fact that you want to man up. Deal with all of the emotional stuff that this is all of a sudden throwing on you. Give yourself a break. Take some deep breaths, lots of them, and then say, okay, I'm going to have to do something about this. I'm going to have to make a plan. And
okay. If I can just graciously interject there, I think that's one of the most important points that I try to make with anybody that I love or care about or work professionally with. And that is that when we get this kind of news, and I say this respectfully, having had it way too many times myself, we are in emotional crisis. We are scared to death. The doctor's voice sounds like whop, 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 whop. We don't even really know what's being said, but we know this isn't good. And we move into quite a profound fear. Now, that could be fear of putting our head under the pillow and ignoring it, or hyper response, which is really both the same thing. And so what I always say to people is, wherever we are emotionally, that is real. We're in emotional crisis, but we're not in physical crisis, because particularly if it's cancer or heart disease or autoimmune disease, inflammatory, depression, anxiety, whatever it is, eczema, it's taken months, years, or even decades for us to get there. So we have time, we have a few weeks at least to slow down, get a hold of our emotional state, and go out to get the best advice we can. And that's really what you did. That's why I wanted to interview you. I think you're an incredible example of just that. So what did you do? What were your next steps?
So there's a couple of things that you really need to do. The first of which is you have to inform people, right? So get rid of this man up idea. I'll just deal with this myself and I don't need to tell anybody, right? No, you actually need a support group. There are some people that you need to tell because it affects their life as well as it affects your life. Might be
because they love you.
Because they love you, right?
Yeah.
It could be your parents, it could be your kids, you'll have to decide who actually needs to know, because this is something that's happening to you and this is something you're going to have to deal with, and it may affect them. Okay. So be honest with them, draw them into the group. The other people that you want in your group, and hopefully there's quite a bit of overlap here, are people that can sort of help you with this. Now, they might be able to help you emotionally. They might be just offer friendship. You are going to need people. You need to talk to people who've actually experienced this and have gone through it and are not necessarily medical professionals. But get a support group going.
Okay, so again, if I can gently interject, one of the first points is, oh my gosh, bad news. Slow down, recognize that this is not good news, but that you have some time to sort things out. Second piece of information is there's no need to try to do this all by yourself, which when people do that, I actually really worry. I think that's not a good sign. So your second key point to people is gather that care team. Those who love you, those who are being negatively impacted, those who can help support you emotionally, physically, or spiritually, and those, and this is what I say to you and others all the time, who see you whole, healthy, happy, and complete, who believe that you're going to navigate through this skinny little awful yucky space and you're going to be amazing at the end of it. You're going to be well. Okay, so I say that to you all the time. Yeah. If they don't see you as whole, healthy, happy, and complete, they fired. Even if they're like a major relative or whatever. Sometimes they're just totally dysfunctional. So those people also love us, and we have to task them to go to the grocery store or buy us a book or something. Make them go away and do something, but don't have them in that inner circle. So great. Those are two really good key points. Then the next thing that you did is you recognized that, we were talking earlier that if you wanted to eat Greek food, you'd go to a Greek restaurant. If you wanted to eat Italian, go to the Italian restaurant. So what does that analogy mean to you as you navigated through your 4 key experts in the field of prostate care? What happened? What did you learn?
So it's up to you to get some knowledge. Now, there's lots of sources of knowledge. There's lots of people in the medical community that you can talk to, but you have to go in with an open mind and bear in mind 2 things. The first, most important of which is, this is your decision. You are the one. It's going to be on you. At the end of the day, you're going to have to make a decision. So you have to get knowledge. Second thing to bear in mind is that if you go see a surgeon, and frankly, I was lucky to have a urologist who's a very, very well-known surgeon, really good at cutting out prostates. And he told me, he said, Bruce, I can fix this. And my solution is I'm going to do surgery on you. I said, I'm not saying that's the only solution, but I'm telling you that's the solution that I know, and I know it works. But if you want to consider something else, go ahead. But I can fix it.
And now we just need to put in that, yes, to remove the prostate removes the problem, whole and complete, because the prostate is removed. But the 2 serious downsides that often men aren't really cottoned onto in that first conversation, because again, we're still a little bit in the want, like what is being said, is it often that procedure leaves a man incontinent, so unable to control the desire to urinate and unable to have sex. And for someone, well, I think for any man, but certainly someone at your age and stage in life, neither of those were really acceptable contraindications, problems associated with the surgery, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
what did you do?
So when you're speaking with somebody who's narrowly focused on a solution that they actually know works,
And they're
but
very good at.
they're narrow focus, and if you go to, let's say, a surgeon, and a surgical response may be correct for you, but there are side effects, and you go in and you have surgery, and that is the end of the story for the cancer as far as the doctor is concerned, because they've
That's
done
right.
a brilliant job.
Right. They go to the scoreboard and that's a success because they removed something.
They removed the problem.
Correct.
However,
But how it's left you is not part of their concern.
yeah, it's not the end of your story. You're going to go on for another 30, 40 years, and you're going to have to live with the consequences. And unfortunately, if you have prostate cancer and you decide to go down a path of treatment that includes either surgery or radiation or any of these things, there are going to be potential side effects. What you have to figure out is, do I need to go down one of those paths? And which side effects do I think are more acceptable to me as an outcome?
Agreed. And when I work with clients, I actually encourage them to go in the States you can, in Bali you can't, but you get the world's largest Post-its that literally cover a doorway, and start writing things down and really, really try to simplify it in terms of pros and cons. So here's the solution, pro and con, and I like to just use a plus and a negative sign, make it really, really simple. So you have your surgical solution with one of the best surgeons and could absolutely do the job well done, 2 serious side effects. You then go, and this is what I love about your story, you see 3 other experts in the field. And we can probably skip 2 and 3 and go right on. Can you just kind of describe what happened, the 4th door that you walked through?
Okay, so it was actually more than 3 other. I spent quite a bit of talking with people that do this for a living. And I eventually got to an oncologist, Dr. Vuki, and
An angel.
she's an extraordinary medical practitioner. She works with cancer patients of all, just all sorts of, young, old, this kind of cancer, that kind of cancer. She's not the solution. She understands how cancer is working in your body. And she just opened up so many doors of knowledge for me, because I was able to, she took her time. She told me, okay, so here's what's going on. This is what the Gleason actually means. She reinforced that there's time. You're a young man. You're in great physical shape. You're in great.
And stop right there, because people watching are having a response to the change in your face. So how did you feel when she explained things gently, when she said, you're a young man, you have time? How did you feel?
It was an enormous weight off my shoulders that here is somebody highly respected in the medical community who does this for a living, and they're actually telling me, you've got time. This is not life-threatening at this point. It's in fact unlikely to become life-threatening.
Right. Now that's a huge number of bricks off your shoulder, because that wasn't how you were feeling after the first several engagements. So for those out there who may never have the chance to meet this angel, Dr. Vuki, just generically, what was she offering you? What were some of the other holistic options? And no one's taking surgery off the table yet, but what was she offering as possible ways to better care for yourself as you made a decision, as you decided how to go forward? What did she say?
Well, the first thing she told me, so we had a long conversation about what does a Gleason mean? Do I actually have time? Is this something that I have to deal with this week? She said, no, slow down. You have time. We are going to have to monitor this, and you are responsible for the monitoring.
And so explain that. That means some blood testing. It means
so I agreed to do
manageable.
Yeah, every 3 months, just to watch the PSA. And again, the PSA is an indicator. It's not an absolute fact.
No, it is not.
But it is an indicator. And if it's steadily going up or steadily going down or just staying the same, it gives you some information that's useful. So I agreed to have my blood tested every 3 months. Dr. Vuki said, you need to get in as good a physical shape as you can. This is really, really important, right? So,
Yeah.
and she, told me that, emotionally, mentally, I seem to be in pretty good shape. But physically, I need to get in better. So she told me I had to drop my BMI to 25.
Okay,
My
so
BMI
that's the body mass index. So that's the it's
down to
a weight
20.
indicator. Yeah, and for men, just to put this in, most men out there know this, but when men have fit arms and fit legs, but they're carrying weight in the midsection, the belly, around the belly button, that is the most dangerous weight. So she and others were encouraging you to get yourself in the best physical shape you could, tell the body that this life is worth living, go travel, go be in love, go be around those who love you, drop the weight, lose the weight, encourage your body to remineralize, putting lots of healthy juices in, really good food. You're a great cook. So for you, that was pretty easy to put you back in charge of what went in.
Yeah, yeah. And so we had a conversation about, okay, so, and this is my personal thought. I don't believe that I can reverse the cancer, but I thought I might be able to fight it and slow it by following a course of diet, really good food, changing my lifestyle, and just doing things that I can take control of. And I thought, can I give this a shot? And Dr. said, yeah, oh, hell yes, absolutely.
Okay, and
There's
so let's stick with that for just a minute. So she would have said, and all good oncologists know, that there are certain things that cancer needs to proliferate, to grow, to stay in place. And they are sugars. So taking sugar out of the diet is one thing. A body that's highly oxygenated makes it very difficult for cancer to thrive. And a body that, so that's meditation and breath work and hiking and lovemaking and cooking and all those other things. And the third thing is a body that's acidic also is welcoming the cancer state and the proliferation of cancer cells. So I'm sure that the advice that you were getting was around those areas to begin to make some change there and see if there was any measurable change in terms of the prostate.
yes.
Why it would make surgery easier, why it might make the side effects less likely, why it might go into remission on its own, which I do see frequently. Why? Because you have the time.
Yes, and I want to be clear. Dr. Vuki never said if you drink wheatgrass it'll go away. Never. You have cancer.
No, it would be inappropriate to say that. That's right.
But if you want to go down a path of trying to manage it through diet, through exercise, through healthy living, through healthy mental and emotional state, give it a crack.
Yep.
Let's see what happens, right? There's no downside, because if you end up going into a treatment option, which you may have to do, you're going to be in better mental, physical, and emotional health at that point, which means that your recovery is absolutely going to be faster, better, and the chances of side effects are actually going down if you're mentally, physically, and emotionally in a great state when you go in for treatment.
Great. Excellent point. And now can I ask you, but I think people are going to already know the answer just by looking at you. Where are you now? What's your health like now?
Look, I feel great. My BMI has gone back up because I'm, still, I like to live life. I like to live life large. But I'm very, very active, very healthy, and I've had, eventually my PSA went up, and I tracked it over a course of 18 months. Mm-hmm. And it did bounce around a little bit as I was going through some of these lifestyle changes, but it never actually went down, to be, unfortunately for me. It kept on going up to the point where, the advice was, okay, now it's gone up steadily over the last 18 months. Almost certainly the cancer is not going away. So it's still there. Now you're at a crossroads where you should probably take, a more proactive step to mm-hmm. manage cancer. And so I looked at all sorts of different radiation type therapies, surgery, You know, and essentially those are the two big options, but there's many, many variations amongst the radiation options. And eventually
Right.
I decided to go with brachytherapy.
Yep.
For
Which
me,
worked.
it was
Which
the
worked.
best solution. For me, that was far and away the best solution.
Fantastic. Okay, so I think we're going to wrap it up in just a few minutes, with great gratitude for you and being so open and honest about it. So if we go back, what would you say to any man that has just received the diagnosis of an elevated PSA or that plus a not so positive Gleason score? What would you say? What's your advice?
You're not alone. Um, Take a few minutes for yourself, breathe. You have time. You have time. Get a support group going. Get knowledge about prostate cancer, about solutions, about lifestyle changes. Take a look at your emotional health, your mental health, and your physical health. Are there things that you can do to improve them? And if there are, do them first, right? So that's it. You have time, get the knowledge, improve your emotional, mental, and physical health, and then deal with whatever you have to deal with the cancer. If it's still there, which it almost certainly will be, you know, I'm not a fountain of good news here. It doesn't magically go away, but you will be in a much better position to make a decision that you have to make and that you have to live with the consequences. So,
Okay, well, thank you. I think you've served a great deal of men out there who often do feel really alone. It's helped people who love people who are going through this, and I think every one of your key points is just superlatively made. So I won't try to recap. So Bruce, thank you. And can I ask you, are you amenable if people did want to reach you or talk to you? Are you open to that? If they were to contact me, can I share a contact with you?
yes, yes. I mean, I want to stress I'm not a medical doctor. I had my experience. I went down a path with your guidance, Anne, that turned out to be pretty good. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
happy
I'm so
the way.
glad to see you well. I'm so glad to see you fully operational and just really happy on so many levels in your personal life. So I thank you very, very, very much. And you're just going to see me reach down to turn off the recording.
Okay.